Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zorco Profiles, along with my friend and co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Today's guest brings a rare blend of real-world franchise experience and bold, results-driven coaching. With over 2 decades leading franchise networks and another 15 years advising CEOs across North America and Europe, he knows what it takes to turn potential into performance. He's helped more than 100 franchise systems navigate growth challenges, build stronger leadership cultures, and scale in a way that creates both economic and human value. He's also the author of a book for franchise leaders' eyes only, a straight-talking playbook for anyone serious about building a world-class franchise network. So welcome, Stephane, to the show. We're so glad that you're here.
Wow, that's an intro. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, Stephane, I can't even begin to imagine the amount of knowledge about franchise and business that you have in your brain. So first, just take us back. How did you get into franchising in the first place?
I must say I got into franchising because of my grandfather, who used to be a Chrysler dealer. Was going to vacation, stuff like that. You go to your granddad garage and trying to what's going on, and he was always talking a bit about the Chrysler guys, the Chrysler guys, the Chrysler guys. So it got me into my mind, and I did my psychology degree, specialized in human within the organization. Then I did my MBA because I thought that I was missing something. And I decided, due to this influence, to say I should look at franchising. So it was like early 80s. I graduated in December 85. So it was early 80s. Franchising in my part of the world was quite new, was the Far West. So I decided all the case study we were doing and whatever was on franchising, I wanted to understand that business model, and not business model, but also the behind the scene. Who are those people? So, so after I graduate, guess what? I got into a franchisor, and I was lucky enough in all my other jobs to always been in the C-suite. So first in marketing because I was more into this, that, and then in general management. Which led me to be a CEO of 2 businesses in franchise. One that I turned into a franchise, and I flunked. And the other one was I've been there twice. First, when it was there growing, and then 7 or 8 years later, they were in the ditch. So they asked me to make it happen again. So that was kind of a what not to do, what to do, what to do, not anyway. So it was a kind of a bumpy story with a lot of some fun and a lot of lessons learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you go back to the middle 80s because you called it the Far West. I call it the Wild, Wild West because that really was what franchising was in those days. And for you to grasp that this really was the future and this really is the way to grow a business at that time when it still was a little bit,
Yeah.
unruly,
Wow. Yeah.
is amazing, and then grow your businesses. So before we get started, please pronounce your last name. It's French, right?
Yeah, I'm from the French part of Canada. So, and my name, a lot of people will say Breault
That's
because
how I was
they
going to
read
pronounce
it.
it.
But the real way is Bro, B-R-O, Bro.
Like bro, like what
Bro,
the
yeah,
kids are now
like,
saying.
hey, bro,
Hey,
bro,
bro.
bro. Well, you can call me Steph. Everybody calls me Steph, so it's easy.
All right. So, Steph, in this time that you have built these other 2 companies, and now you've worked with 100 other franchisor, what have you found to be a misconceptions franchisor hold as it relates to growing their businesses?
I think that from what I experienced, franchisors have a tendency to look at it as a business model. It's let's expand with the business model. See, they talk about the business, they sell the business, they create a what I call a real estate kind of business. Say, okay, I'm going to sell you a business. Okay, and that's wrong. That's not what you do. You will help someone to live to build his own dreams using your franchise. See, so that part, that human part, forget it. By the way, I speak a lot with my hands because I'm French, so we
French.
speak a lot. Okay. So the point there that I see too often is transactional versus building partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
And that works for a while, but then things stops because there's no relationship, there's no leadership. It's more transactional. So that's what led me to get to a lot more into leadership, because I think this is the missing element in too many franchise networks.
That's really a beautiful concept, helping someone to build their dreams using your business.
Yeah.
It sounds so much more purposeful. It is so much more purposeful.
I've experienced it. I've seen franchisees coming to, with all their savings and shaking, signing the contract, shaking like that. Starting off the building, sweating like hell. Suddenly things goes well, and Then you see them, a couple of years. We work with them a couple of years. Then suddenly they say, "Hey, Steph, you know what? My son is in college now, and it's because of my business.
Yeah.
I was not able to put him in college by only by having a job. I needed a business, see? Or, we had a great trip, my wife and I, and that's because of the business, whatever. So this is what you aim for. The business is there to serve you, and the franchisor have a tendency to look at the franchisee, they serve me, but it's completely the reserve. It's opposite. As a franchisor, you serve your franchisees so they succeed, because guess what? If they succeed, you're going to succeed. See, so it's kind of an approach, and that's my way to look at it.
I like that approach, where there's us and them kind of approach. It really is more of, we're here to serve you to grow your business. It's more of a partnership and a relationship that happens where
Mm.
we're helping you, and in turn you get to build your business, which helps us, kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
like the shift, that mental shift that you have made.
Yeah, and for me, if you want to succeed as a franchisor, it's written in my book, but there's three things that you must have. Competence, I mean, like in franchising, so you better be good there.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to build great connections with your franchise network and your franchisees, and all that supported by trust. How can you build this fundamental aspect of your leadership or the business? So if you can do this, you enlarge the intersection, and you're going to grow, and it's going to grow by itself, because franchisees who trust their franchisor, they will invest either in their business or either in another one, or they will be engaged and empowered if they trust you. Okay? So that's my little
Into
tree.
that? Can we dig into that, Steph?
Yep.
Because these are really powerful things you just said. The three primary things: competence, connection, and of course, trust or confidence. How does a franchisor build that connection or develop that competence? Tell us how you go about making that happen.
If we talk about the competency, it's pretty straightforward. It's standard franchising done the right way, should be good. Connection and trust is all. It's from the leadership part that you have to look at it.
Right.
We have as a franchisor. Sometimes I say we, because I still sometimes feel like a franchisor. Franchisor have to understand that their leadership will create what they want, and it's not about managing. Managing is something, leading is another thing. So they need to create this leadership, and it's all started by the mindset you have building your franchise network. If you have a mindset of transactional mindset, leadership will be very weak, and you're going to need a lot of supervisor to check to make sure things are okay, and franchisee will be more like not engage or whatever. If you look at the other side, so your leadership is crucial. And this leadership built on a couple of principles. The one as to build great connections, you need to create rituals. And I'm a firm believer, it's like a community or a tribe. Huh? A franchise network is like a community or a tribe. What's, the idea there is if you have rituals, connection rituals, which can be personal to one-on-one, small groups, larger groups, whatever, but you have to build those rituals and be disciplined in them. So, and these rituals are both ways. Not only you're not the sales guy saying pitching something, you're communicating with your franchise network. See, so if you can build that, and it's tough because there's a lot of discipline involved. If for an example, you say, I must, in my ritual, I must speak to my franchisee at least once a year, personal. Just put that like that, and you have 200 franchisees. That's a big commitment. At least if you do it, the franchisees will recognize it. Connection will be a lot easier. So when good times are there, good, bad times might happen. With the right connection, you can find solutions. So that, to me, rituals is the key factor for connection. Trust is another thing. Trust is character. And not only your character as a leader, but the character of your team, your head office team. And this character is based on humility and, how can I say, letting go, making sure that you build your system so the franchisee can own it. And if he owns it, he's going to be, I see it like you're 100, as a franchisor, you're 100% responsible of your results. Don't say that your franchisee are no good. Who put them there? Right. Yeah, there's a say that if you put your finger there and you point at someone, there's always 3 fingers who are looking at you. See, so those are those are the real. So the point there is making sure that you build your network on responsibility, and your team as you and your team as a strong character. And strong character doesn't mean to be aggressive or this or that. No, that means to be, honest, integrity, and also fairness in how you treat people, and be also assertive. Sometimes you need to sit down and say, "Hey, Joe, it doesn't work the way it should be, and we're doing our part. You're not doing your part. So let's sit down and make sure that we find a solution." And that's assertiveness, and don't be afraid of it. Okay? So that's character. So if we can build a team with this kind of character, build rituals, help the people to be better in building those rituals, and the people will follow. The franchisees need to see action. They don't like great concepts and stuff like that. They need to see action. You're doing this. Oh yeah, okay, this is good because it's good also for me. But also you're doing something. You stop talking, do something. So that's how I see it.
I don't mean to oversimplify it, but I'm hearing a lot of accountability in this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing a lot of, like, the word that keeps coming in my head is accountability.
Mm-hmm. I've been, with the experience, I've been in all those phases. First you do as I say, and blah blah blah. The 80s were sign here, sign there, and we'll make it happen. In 90s came, say, a more military approach, blah blah blah, and so that, and then okay, so all those phases. What I see now, and especially with the younger guys, is there's a tendency, because the technology will take care of that. The individuality, the values change and stuff like that. Franchisor have a tendency to see, it's not my problem, it's his problem. See, but I see it like, if you're not accountable for your franchisee, you're not a franchisor. You're a promoter. You're trying to build something and sell. A franchisor is a brand builder. You build a brand with people. You don't build the brand with marketing. You build a brand with people. They are the ambassador. They are the ones who will spread the word out. So that's where I see the difference. So it's not an easy job, as you know, to be a franchisor. It's not an easy job. See, so that's what it is. And yes, accountability, but both ways.
It's both ways. It
It's
really is.
both ways, always both ways. See, so okay, I do my fair share. You're not doing yours. Let's talk and let's make it happen. If we can't make it happen, let's make it happen. Let's find a solution to make it happen. To me, this is the only way.
I totally agree. Totally agree, Steph. It was a couple of things, and Tracy hit on it too, that really stuck out in what you said. And one was this rituals. And when I think of culture, it is to a large extent rituals that come out of the values of that organization. So if you understand those values and you create these rituals, whatever they are, it will nurture that culture and create consistency across the board. So I had never thought of it as rituals, but it really is that. It's rituals that come out of the values and the culture. Correct? Is that how you're seeing it too?
That's why, yeah, you got it. See, the values how do the values transpond to for a franchisee is from what they see or what they experience with the franchisor. It's great to say we respect people, blah, 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 blah. But if they don't see it in the day-to-day, they'll say, with your values, so you got to walk the talk somewhere. See, big time, big time.
Is there an element of setting expectations, like rituals, meaning like that occur at a specific, like you said, maybe yearly, or maybe it's monthly, or maybe it's weekly? Is it like setting an expectation or a certain amount of consistency?
Yeah. Well, what I like to do with my clients is let's make sure franchisees understand what you want from them very clearly. So set up your expectations the right way. And then before implementing whatever, have a talk with them. See, this is what we want to do. This is why, this is what we want to do. This is what we need from you. Make sense or not? Most of people will say it does, but. Okay, adjust it. And then it's like, it's kind of mandatory. If you're not there, there's something wrong. So you got to be there. Same like, if you have a weekly meeting or a group meeting with whoever, you got to be there. If you're not there, better have a super excuse, because otherwise you're not respecting the contract we're trying to build together. So it's like the trust factor is not at the right level. It's a bit tough, huh? Certainly with large networks, it's tougher because then you got some other people involved, and they do those ritual, and if they're not trained the right way, they might scrap what you're trying to do as a CEO, because poor guy, he never had a group of franchisee in front of him, and you ask him to or her to say, hey, I animate a town hall meeting. I don't even know what it is. See, so that's the trick there. So it takes a lot of energy. You need to put resources there, and more than sometimes I think that we franchisors put too many emphasis in marketing, not enough in making the right thing happen every day with every few clients.
Yeah. You've used this word trust several times, and it's so important across the board. Trust for one another, trust for the system, trust in the process, trust in the future. And then Tracy brought in this accountability is all part of that, and the rituals are part of that. I don't know, I was looking it up as you were talking, this book I read years ago on leadership. And one of the things they brought up is what you're talking about with trust. You can provide these best practices and accountabilities and values and systems, but at some point it's in their hands. It's in that franchisee's hand. And I remember in this book I read on trust, it says, if we don't put trust in our teammates in this case, or franchisees, then they're constantly leaning on us to come up with all the answers. We need to trust them that they too have the competency. They too can execute. And sometimes we try to micromanage or overdo it and do too much for our franchisees, but we need to trust that they too can embrace what we're laying out for them and execute. And that trust allows them to build their own confidence. Oh, he believes in me. She believes in me, right?
If I may say, you're right, but the franchisor has something to do with it.
Agreed.
He must train the franchisees
Mhm.
on how can we trust you.
Yeah,
You have,
yeah.
because trust means a lot of things for anyone. So if you want to have some results about it, about trust, it's because you will teach your franchisee what trust means to you for you, and what are the boundaries of this trust, so they can act within the parameters that make sense. Otherwise, they got great ideas or great way of looking at it, but if they're not aligned with yours, tough. So yeah, critical alignment, critical making sure people understand what you're trying to achieve as a franchisor. Not just tell
Right.
them this is what we want to achieve.
Oh, oh, yeah. No, no, no. I'm not talking
Uh,
about that. You got to equip them, right? You got to
yeah, yeah.
equip them
Yeah,
and
and
trust them.
never assume because they're CEO of their business that they're leaders or they understand everything. It's your system, so you're responsible of making sure that your system is well integrated into each franchise.
So usually I love to delve into the emotional side of things, but I do
Mm.
have this question more so for you in particular about how do you help a franchisor set metrics? Like, do they all set the same metrics? Are there different metrics? And how do you do that?
Apart from the economic part, I look at it with I have an assessment which is called Franchise Performance 360. But the point is, I look at it through their value, their alignment, okay, their vision and their value. Mission might be okay too, but the point there is, okay, this is what you aim for, okay, and this is your engine. So how can we take this and put some matrix or some whatever, yeah, matrix is the right word, some matrix on the human side of your business.
Mhm.
And this is where a lot of people say, oh, okay, let's look at it. How do you want this to happen? So for an example, one of my clients, she's into wellness, so yoga, stuff like that, and so she has a lot of matrix. And one of her matrix that we finally put there, which is super important, is it's a simple matrix. It's when I go to your unit, you welcome me like I'm a guest, not the CEO, and you show me your business, the pluses, the minus, where you fail, where you don't fail. Etc. So for her was the quality of this visit driven by the franchisee is one of key matrix. So she says she knows her stuff. The standards are there. She has some whatever local promotions, whatever, and so she sees it more like an holistic. A bit tough to when you grow. Okay, I have another client which is more in the QSR business, very rapidly, one new franchise a week. This kind of a franchise, or they're super team, and one of their metric is the only metric they look this year is clients feedback. That's the only metric. They don't even care about economy. They know the economic is good. So yes, they care, but not
Yeah.
they don't focus that on that every day. But it's more like they focus on customer feedback. If the feedback is there, that means that things are okay.
Mhm.
And then they work with there's some whatever parameter KPIs they have. But the first one, the one that really makes it, is customer feedback.
Yeah.
Really is highly customized for each, looking at their values and what's
Yeah.
important to them. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. It kind of takes the fear out of the whole like numbers metrics, right?
Yeah, and
Is that you
sometimes there's too many metrics, too many numbers, you get lost. So
right.
And so I like to simplify and get to the point. And when we look at franchisee, for an example, sometimes we do some surveys, stuff like that, to have some metrics. I find that some are some network are really, the franchisees are more open to share and so forth. So you see the metrics is right. In some they're politely answering, but they're fear of the franchisor. So what that tells me is you're too good. When the results are so great, say, yeah, you're too good. Okay, so let's look at what's going on. And most of the time, the franchisees, when you talk to them on the phone, over the phone, and so they say, yeah, yeah. So you feel that there's something there. So that's one way to. So I go back to the CEO and say, hey, let's sit down a bit and let's talk about what's going on, really what's going on, and then we find some leadership issues.
Usually that's what it boils down to, doesn't it? To some
Yeah.
leadership issues.
Well,
So, Steph, everything you're talking about, is this part of your franchise Excel system? Or if not, can you tell us more about the
yeah.
system itself?
The system is both ways. A part is really more on this system is built to help. My goal with the system is to help the franchisor to build a pathway that will make sense for him and will make sense for the team and his franchisees. And this pathway, we built it. We got a couple of steps, 7 steps. In some cases, we have a bit more steps for whatever reason. But there's 2 main things. There is the franchise performance, which is basically a bold evaluation on you as a franchisor and your leadership. The other part, which is critical, is your success formula. And this is prior to alignment, to build your vision or whatever. Your success formula is critical. And this success formula, I don't want to go in details with this, but it changes the mindset, because you say, okay, it was this, now what it will be would be different, fine. Okay, what is your future success formula? So we built it. And with this success formula comes all the challenges or all the issues that we see that say, wow, okay, this is going to be. So with this, we put that in more a strat plan. And the strategic plan it's not a high level. I'm really practical. It's getting the job done at a 3-year base and getting the job done. So not a lot of philosophy, not a lot of wording. It's a very simple strat plan, but and the strat plan involve franchisees in it, and also franchisee feedback. So that's also the other part, which I like. When you get feedback from franchisee that say, we don't understand where you're going. So that tells you that something is not right.
Something's missing. Yeah.
Yeah, something's missing.
Leadership, that's what's missing.
Well, sometimes it's the way you communicate, or with the mean you use, or the system. So, franchisor would tell me, Stephane, we had a great leadership session once a year, the annual convention. Oh, yeah? Hey, so you had a kind of entertainment session? No, it was leadership stuff. Yeah, okay. Once a year. Yeah, okay. Talk to me a bit. And then, see, so that's normal. So I love it. I just love it, period.
You have this great success formula. I'm sure you have a million success stories. So what is maybe one of your favorite success stories that you can share with us?
It's never my success story. It's my client's story.
Okay.
I'm there to help them. I'm there to enlighten them. I'm there to sometimes push them or confront them. I'm not there to do. They are the ones. One of my success stories is a Canadian franchise who will come in the US probably in 27, 28. Okay. Now they're building the massive network. They're in the QSR business. The name is Poulet Rouge. Poulet Rouge is it's a success where even chicken filet is looking at it and say, oh, something is going on there. So they're really good. They're really good. The real success happened 2.5 years ago. I was coaching the CEO. He asked me to help him out to understand his role and how it should be and blah, blah, blah. They were growing, but kind of So we sat down and I listened to him for about an hour. And I said, how about you getting all that wrong? So he looked at me like that and say, what? Yep. Okay. You see yourself as a controller. You don't build partners and you don't act like a partner builder. So how about changing the mindset, changing your view, building something very different and build not only a business model that will grow, but also a culture that will initiate its own growth. So we did that. This guy was Moussa is a great guy. He built a great team. They reversed their mindset. The franchisee are the one who are auditing themselves and share that with the franchisor. And the franchisor is not really auditing themselves. They're the franchisees. They are auditing their operations. Most of their franchisees now are multi-unit operators, franchisees. And it's on merit. So it's not because you're in a territory that you can have, it's on merit. And the merit is based, financially, it's minimal. It's based on the values. So they built 3 values, core values, and 10, they call it the 10 commandments. Which are the behaviors you should have every day, every hour, every whatever. And they got their 3 values. And the first one is, I can't recall, it's about the client, but and if they act with this filter, they're okay. If they're okay, they can grow. If they don't act with this, they stop the growth and work on them. So it's really, and now they're growing like one franchise a week. No exterior franchising except from a part of Canada, which is far from their market. They have a new kind of franchisee there. All the others are franchisee built from within.
Wow.
And the list, and they have a list, a waiting list, period. And
That's
they
amazing.
got people from the French Canadian area going to the Toronto, the other market, which is totally Anglophone. They speak English, like they can. And they got there. They opened the first location there, believing that it's going to be successful. And guess what? They're making it happen the right way. So that's one great story from my client. And the story about that is they changed their mindset. They understood that they're leaders. They're not franchisor building a business. They're leaders helping. And if you talk to them, speak to them today, they will say, I'm here, I'm there to help them to grow, to be happy, to build a life they never thought about having. So that's how they think now. As a matter of fact, we're gonna next week we start a new franchise leadership program with them, which is based on the C-suite, and I call it Franchise Leadership Catalyst, and it's based on one book, which is what I like is the John Maxwell books, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and the program is based on that, and their goal is to be better leaders again, more than what they are, and I consider them quite good leaders. But they invest in themselves, they're going to invest in their network. So that's it.
Let me ask you a question about a franchise, or maybe especially an early stage franchisor who's innovative and creative and out of the box and he's inventing things, who may not possess these leadership qualities. Do you believe, because it's clear you believe this is something that is necessary to grow the business, is this leadership? How do you deal with someone who really is not a leader? Can they be trained? Can they partner? How does that work? How do you deal with that?
There's a say in my world, probably 20% of people are natural leaders and 20% will never be leaders. Not bad people, but will never be leaders. The rest can we can teach and help them to grow to a certain point, whatever the point is. It's the law of the lid. They decide where they want to be. See, so if they say, oh, I can be better, they're gonna be better. See, but a franchisor without leadership, the first thing I will do is say, build a team. Who's your number two? And this number two will be the leader. See? You know, you need an implementer. You need someone who is, you know, able to communicate, to be close to the franchisees without using power, because you know you got your franchise contract, you got the power. So you know, let's not talk about that. Let's build the real stuff. So as a CEO, if you're not a leader, find a leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way it's going to work, because you won't be able to grow your network. It's going to plateau very fast because it takes leadership. It's not because you're not good, or you know, you're not. It's not that. It's if you're not a leader, or if you don't want to invest in this and work on it the hard way, and if you don't like it, just don't be. Find one.
Do it.
No, but you know,
So true.
between you,
You know,
between
Steph,
you.
at Zorco, we measure the stage of growth of a franchise organization
Mm,
and the crises and pain points that they go through. And the one that you're really hitting on, and if they don't get through this crisis, what we call the crises of leadership, if they don't put in strong leadership, they won't grow, period. It just,
oh,
or they're going to be stuck at 20, 30 units, and they'll never get to that next level. That
no.
crisis of leadership, if not addressed, will prevent that on
Yeah,
a
I have that issues with some of my clients, and it's because they don't see them as a business owner.
right.
They see them as an operator. So they manage, or they try to manage whatever they want, but they don't see them as being the owner. Oh, okay, you gotta, okay, there's something else than just working hard. You know, and yeah, for sure. To me, it's if you're not a leader, you want to be franchisor, better have a number two that is a leader,
Yep,
or she is a leader, whatever. But
that's
you
right.
need a leader.
Let's
You
not
need a
exclude our
leader.
lovely women, right?
No, 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 no. No, as a matter of fact, I got a couple of my great clients are women, and they're doing great, and they don't have the same approach, that's for sure,
Yes.
than man in
Mhm.
franchising. Yeah. Yep.
Steph, are there a certain set of characteristics that you look for in a person to develop them as a leader?
But you know what? Character is the first one. Are you someone of integrity? You walk the talk or not? If you don't want the talk, don't talk to me. You know,
Mm.
because at the end of the day, you're going to waste time and money, and I'm going to waste my time with you because you won't walk the talk. So I'm looking for character. I'm looking for people who see the positive things in
Mhm.
their world, and stop worrying about the small shit that I call, and
Mhm.
just look at the positive side of the human, your franchisees, what you're going to build. And then with character comes discipline.
Mhm.
And you know, to me, you cannot be a great leader if you're not disciplined.
Mhm.
Discipline is just, to me, it's like it's a mandatory situation. People look at you when you're in front of your 100 franchisees. You got 100 pairs of eyes looking at you, and if you're not disciplined, they'll say, okay, why should we be disciplined? You know, you want respect, you gotta show respect. See, so same thing there. So yeah, so character and a willingness to learn and discipline. That's what I'm looking for with my franchisor leaders. And you know, I'm not afraid to say that sometimes I'm a tough guy with them because they're not acting. You know, they're saying they're not acting, and I lose some clients because of that. You know, I recall one conversation a couple of months ago with a client say, you know what, I'm tired of your bullshit. So let's stop our relationship now. Say, no, Stephane, don't. Yeah, for sure. You've been putzing around for 3 months, and yeah, okay, you pay me, but why? Right? So I'm not your psychologist. So go see your psychologist. I'm your coach, and or
Up another
mentor, depending on.
It brings up another topic we talked about offline earlier.
Yeah,
You are a coach, right? You're not a
yeah.
therapist. You're not a consultant. You are a coach. Can you distinguish those roles? Because I think some people, when they hire a coach, do think they're getting a psychologist and someone that'll
Mhm.
listen to the woes, or they think they're going to have someone that's going to help them actually implement some of these strategies
Yeah.
that come up. So tell us the difference.
sometimes I have to help to implement, but I help, I don't do. See, and that's my. So as a coach, what I see myself as a coach because I help people to change their mind to get some results. Okay, whatever the results they're looking for, uh, and sometimes there's some personal issues that people have that are not they're not helping to get the results. So either you fix them with someone else, or either we don't talk about it because it's not in my mandate. I'm not there to solve your issue with your father or whatever. This, I was in psychology and they refused me in the
Yeah.
master degree program because they say no, you're not patient enough, Stephane. So I'm not that patient. So I'm really what to me is I'm with you to help you achieve results. So the point there is I see more myself like a F1 coach or a sports coach. I'm here to help you to get the results you want. But by the way, results are not only on the economy, they're also human. Because if you want the economy to work, you got to work on this part. If you're ready to play the game with me, let's play.
Yeah.
Straightforward.
Thank you for clarifying that. Guys, we're at the top of the hour. Holy moly, what happened to the time? It's like we're just now getting into a lot of the meat. Steph, I want to thank you for spending time with us. Tracy, you had another question, right?
No, it's not a question. It's part of my wrap up. Something just clicked in my head. You have, Steph, you studied psychology. Yes.
Mhm.
And
Many
you
years
also
ago.
just referenced the sports coach.
Yeah.
And in sports coaching, there's a tremendous amount of psychology. And I'll give you an example. I have a friend who's a heavyweight champion of the world, but he never won the actual championship. He went up against the number one person, not once, not twice, not three times, but four times, and never won it because there is
Wow.
an element of psychology in there. And you're that person who changes the mindset. You're that coach in the corner that he probably would have won it the first time if you were there. It sounds like you use all of your background in psychology, like you're not just relying on numbers, you're not just relying on metrics. You're using that psychology, that sports psychology, whatever it is, to train their brains to think like a champion. But a champion, it's not just about the metrics, it's about the human relationships that you build first. And that's what just clicked for you in my brain. When you said earlier, building a brand with
Thank you for
people.
sharing that. I like it.
Yeah,
There
it's
you go. There's the
amazing.
pitch.
Yeah, I
It's
like it.
amazing.
Mm.
It's really amazing. Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful combination of, yes, we're going to take care of the economics, but we have this human element, which comes a lot from the mindset and the self-discipline and all of those other things and leadership skills, all of those things combined. Again, Steph, thank you for carving out time for us.
Thank
All
you.
the way over on the Red Sea in Egypt. Here we we appreciate because it's late for you in the evening. So
Don't worry.
thank you.
It's been a
And
pleasure. It's really been a pleasure. And by the way, kudos to addressing the women in franchising. For sure, it's an underdeveloped market. And a lot of women in franchising as franchisors, they're so different from the regular man. So it creates a lot more, how can I say, there's more relationship with their
yeah,
franchisees, and they understand a lot more about that than man. And I think I was listening to a couple of the stories that you had in your show before, and I say, wow, it's not the same thing for sure. So bravo and kudos for this and having the courage to put that out there and making it happen. Bravo.
well put, Stefan. And it kind of goes with your competence and uh, the connection. The woman does tend to be more focused on those connections. They're
Mhm.
also a little more transparent, which creates that trust, or at least it's a component of it. and are quite coachable, more coachable than what
Yeah.
we see in other arenas. So which allows them
But
to become.
I think they missed a bit of the assertiveness
I think so too.
that is needed. So it's more like, the courage to stop feeling wrong. You're right. Just make it right with your franchisees, and it's going to happen. Yeah.
So if somebody wants more, or if they want to get in contact with Steph,
Mhm.
where do they contact? How do they get in contact with you? How do
Right.
they get a hold of your book?
Yeah. Just get on my website, imaginefranchise.com, and we'll manage. They can have whatever they will need on this, the copy of the book if they wish, or if they want to book a call to talk about their issue and see if it makes sense or not. There's no pressure. It's always people. I'm doing the same thing as I teach to my franchisors. Is franchisee will choose you.
Right.
So I say my clients choose me. So that's how I work, and I just love it because it's so great. And those stories I love to learn. So cool. Every day is a learning, and it's been a learning for me today too.
Thank you. Stephane, you are by far our favorite bro.
Favorite.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Rebecca.
much.
Thanks, Tracy. Been great.
And thank you to those listening in today to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forge. Make sure to comment, share, and like this interview. And of course, we'll see you next week on another episode.